welcome back to Harris Family Adventures. If you're new here, my name is Heather, my husband's name is Justin, and we have a 10-year-old son named Reese. This channel is all about our traveling during the next year. So we've actually already started with our trip to Branson, and then Justin and I just got back from 5 days at the Valentin Imperial Riviera Maya. This is part 5 of our trip. So we were there for 5 days. So each part is 1 day. I would encourage you, go down in the description if you want to see the other parts of the videos. If you want to see any of the other videos that I've made about my packing list, my actual packing, any of that type of thing. I have a whole playlist just about Mexico. I have a whole playlist about packing, and then I have some Valentin playlist videos as well. So if you are joining us, welcome. I would encourage you to go back and watch the other ones because I'm going to reference some things from those. All right, let's get started. So day 5, like I said, it was our last day there. We traveled with another couple and they were going to be staying a couple more days, but it was our last day and it was a Saturday. The night before, if you watched part 4, we had stayed up late the night before because I had been dancing with a new friend that I had made. So we didn't get to bed by the time we finished dancing and walked back to the room, and it was so hot, like we had to just do a quick shower off, kind of to get the sweat off. It was probably 1:30 before we got to bed, and I never sleep well anyway when I'm not at home. So I didn't sleep well, and then I woke up at 6 and I thought, all right, let's just get started. We had done very little packing. We had done some, but like, I just kind of was like, it all just needs to go home. It's a lot easier to pack to come back. We'll worry about it in the morning. So I was just like, okay, we got a lot of things to get through here. I get a little anxious on travel days. So to bed at 1:30, up at 6, did not sleep well. Great. So yeah, we had to pack and get ready, and then we went for breakfast at May y Tierra. If you watch the other videos, you know that that is the a la carte breakfast and lunch place. I'll put the menu up here. Justin stuck with his omelet order, and I decided to try a waffle this time. I love waffles. This one wasn't, I don't know, it just kind of didn't quite hit the spot. So I had a couple bites of it, but otherwise we kind of just finished our breakfast, went on our way. We had eaten breakfast there 2 other times. The first time they gave us a bread basket, and I know, Heather, you had a waffle, you didn't eat a bread basket, but that would have been nice because I love toast, and like I said, I didn't love my waffle, but no big deal, it's fine. Justin loved his omelet, so everything was good. And then we went to the front, we went to our rooms, grabbed our bags because we had packed everything before we went to breakfast. So we went and got our bags, and then we went to the front. We had gotten a bill because we, at the time, because we were leaving on June 11th, which was the day before the restriction was lifted, we had to take a COVID test the day before and test negative, and we'd had to pay $39 a piece. So we had gotten that bill, so we had to go take care of that. Now, I don't remember, I just feel like checkout before we just went to where the transportation vehicles would come and pick us up, which is the same place that they drop you off by that fountain. I don't remember checking out per se in the lobby. Like I said, this time we did because we had that bill to pay. And then he gave me a slip that said, okay, so you're good to go now. You can show this to the bellman. So I don't know before how they knew that we were good to go, that like we hadn't incurred any charges. Maybe they have a list of some kind, but anyway, so we headed out, and I just said like, oh, we're Canada transfers. I gave them the little slip. We're Canada transfers. They're supposed to be here at 9. At this point, it was like 8:45. There's probably 10 people, some waiting for transfers, some waiting for excursions. There is some lady, I don't know who she was waiting for, but she was really frustrated on the phone with somebody. So kind of listen to that. And then Canada transfers got there at about 8:50. So if you've watched the other parts, you know I have nothing but wonderful things to say about Canada transfers, and this was no exception. If they say they're going to be there at 9 and they show up at 8:50, that makes my heart so happy. And it's a private transfer, so it's just the 2 of us. We didn't have to leave extra early from the resort in order to pick up other people on the way to the airport. We didn't not have to sit with other people, but we just had the car to ourselves, us and the driver. He didn't speak any English, so we established pretty early on that we probably weren't going to be talking we were also exhausted, so that was okay. And so he drove, and Justin loves driving. I kind of like just look out the window. I don't really pay attention to the road, but I mean, they are aggressive drivers. I think every transfer driver we've had has been an aggressive driver, and that's super fun for Justin. But if it makes you nervous, just look out the window, just look at the vegetation around. All right, so then we got to the Cancun airport, and this has happened, I think a couple of times ago this happened. There's a guy that's like, can I help you? And we were like, sure. This is in the actual airport. And so I just showed him, because I had done the online check-in, so like technically I had a boarding pass on my phone, but we had luggage that we needed to check and all that kind of stuff. He took our 2 bags we were checking, he walked us right to a kiosk, he typed everything in, and then he would just say, I need this, like he needed our passport, he needed this. And then when the baggage tags came out, he put them on just right, he put the stickers on the bags, he was super helpful. Then he carried our bag, or wheeled them, they're on wheels, towards the United check-in counter, where, and this is interesting, so I just don't know about this, a United Airlines employee, I believe, I mean, his name tag was United and his lanyard said United, he just kind of asked us some questions. At first I thought he was just being friendly, but then he was like, oh, where did you stay? How long did you stay? What's the purpose of your trip? For business? And we were like, oh, no, just vacation. I don't know. It was like, did you buy anything? And I was like, no. It was kind of strange. I don't know, but I mean, he was friendly and we answered the questions, and then we got our bags put behind the counter and we were good to go. So it was so fast. We have waited, not with United. I don't know that we've ever flown United to Cancun before, but we've waited for other airlines for an hour. So this was like literally maybe 5 minutes. So that was awesome. If you know the Cancun airport, you know that you go up the escalator there and through security, and that was pretty quick too. So how this works, and I mentioned this in my one of my old videos, is in the Cancun airport, they don't tell you what your gate is until about an hour before. And typically you're gonna be there more than an hour before. The purpose, I think, is for them to keep you in that main area where there's lots of restaurants and shops, because you're kind of like, well, as long as I'm sitting here, like the Johnny Rockets hamburgers smell really good, I'll go get one of those. So I feel like there's always a lot of time to fill at the Cancun airport. There is, once you walk through the main shops, which they do have usually tequila samples there, and it's very good. There's another shop, I don't know the name of it. I think they're probably all owned by the same company. But we always get Reese a t-shirt there, and then I really needed vanilla. So I got some vanilla for myself and some vanilla for my mom, and then a t-shirt for Reese. And the t-shirt is a long sleeve hooded t-shirt, and I got him an identical one, just a smaller size last time, and he wore it and wore it and wore it and wore it, and it held up really well. It was $25. And then a bottle of vanilla, I should have brought it, I'm not sure. It's like a decent sized bottle. It was $12, and I got 2 of those. And then he said, do you want a bag? And I was like, sure. He was like, that's 50 cents. But it's like a reusable cloth bag, and that'll be fun to like take to the farmer's market because it has like the logo of the store on there. So my bill ended up being about $50. Anyway, so we sat for a little bit. It was so loud. It was just so loud, and there was just so much going on, and there were so many people. And so I had said to Justin, like, I'm just gonna kind of like walk this way. So if you're going back to this, yes, you can leave that main area, but you don't want to walk all the way down to C1 if then they end up announcing that you are at C40, so you kind of stay central where the shops are and the restaurants are. But I was like, I'm just gonna go walk for a bit. We had a lot of time. And I had walked a little bit a ways, and then we got a notification through text messages from the United app that they told us what our gate was. So they told us our gate, and it wasn't like, oh, they're faster, it'll show up on the screens. It didn't show up on the Cancun airport screens for probably another 30 minutes. And luckily our gate was one that was down at one end of the terminal, and it was not quiet, but it was quieter. And I was so thankful that we were able to just go and find a seat before everybody else found out about it. Or if they had the United app, they did, but find a seat. We could look out the windows, we could watch the planes coming in, that kind of thing, and it just be a little bit quieter. So again, I think I've said it in every part of this series, If you're flying United, get the United app. I'm going to assume that the other airlines apps have those same features, but I can't speak to that. I can just speak to United. So again, our theme of our flights is that our flight was delayed by about 45 minutes, but then we ended up arriving. So we flew from Cancun into Houston. We ended up arriving in Houston like 10 minutes. So we made up that time. The flight was good. There was a lot of turbulence. I got the ravioli. I'll put a picture of it here. It was good. It was my first real, because I hadn't really eaten the waffles. So at that point it was probably 1:30 or 2. I was really hungry, so that always helps it taste better. Justin got the chicken. He said it was fine. It's airline food, so whatever. The bread wasn't great, and the brownie was like some kind of cheesecake. I don't like cheesecake, so Justin ate mine. But then it was a really good salad. So overall, it was a good meal to have up in the air. They did give us the declaration forms, and these are one per household. So they gave both of us one. I don't know why. But again, I had my pens handy, so I filled that out, and that the only thing we had purchased was the t-shirt in vanilla. So I did add that to the form. And then we got off and we had a really long walk to immigration, and we have flown through Houston many times. I don't remember. I don't know if it was the gate we were at. It was like, I just kept thinking of like, my family members, because growing up, like we would travel with my grandma and grandpa, like, oh, this walk would have killed them. And we were fine on time. We had a really long layover, which was awesome. So we weren't trying to, oh my gosh, I can't imagine if you were trying to rush. It's a really long walk to get to immigration. And once we got there though, we had probably like a 5 to 6 minute wait. I will say, he was very unfriendly. And I get it, like you don't have maybe the most exciting job, or maybe you've had a rough day, but like when someone's like, hello, you can be like, hi, not just like stare at you. So we got through there. I tried to give him our declaration form, and he just slid it back across the counter at me and frowned. And I was like, okay, so sorry, didn't mean to ruin your life. I didn't say that, but I did think it to myself, and I said it to Justin later. So then we had another long walk. It was good. We were, burning off those vacation calories to get our bags. It was just about a 10-minute wait, which I was like, I've walked all this way, my bags still aren't here, but that's fine. Again, on the app, I knew that they had arrived, that they were just en route to the luggage carousel. So we got them, and then it was a really short walk, and I don't know why. You have to you get them off, and then you walk down the length of a room, and then you give it to a guy, and he takes it from you. So like, okay, like, here you go. So yeah, you will, if maybe you don't know, when you fly back in internationally, your first stop in the country, whether that's your final stop or that's the first of many, whatever, you do need to get any of your checked bags and then recheck them in. But it doesn't look like standing at the long line at the check-in counter. Typically it is a shorter process, and they just know, oh, you have another place to go to. And we did check 2 bags on the way back. So if you missed that, we only checked 1 on the way down and 2 on the way back. The longest line that we had out of all of the lines in the Cancun airport, in the Houston airport, in the Omaha airport, and well, there was no lines in the Chicago airport for anything, bathrooms. But the longest line we had was for Houston security. And again, you're tired. It's been a day. You're usually hungry, you're usually thirsty, like those basic needs on your Maslow's hierarchy of needs are not being met. And then they are just yelling. Now, get to know Heather time. I don't like yelling. So like, even when I was a teacher, I didn't do like class, and them say, yes. I didn't do any of those kind of callback things, because I don't like people yelling at me. So that just like, and they were just yelling, like, make sure your shoes are off, get everything out of your bag, everything out of your pocket. They kept yelling, and we were there for like 20 minutes. You just hear the yelling over and over. Now, Justin made a good point, because he's not as emotional as I am. Like, because there were still people that like were in front of us that had a bottle of soda in their backpack and had their shoes on. And so Justin was like, imagine, we think that everyone knows these rules. They've been saying these things to us, and people are still getting to the counter 20 minutes later and not prepared. Like, of course, they're going to be kind of frustrated and shouting. and that's a good point. But I just wish they wouldn't be shouting. I don't like that. And then we were lucky because we were able to use the United Club Lounge, and it was literally across the hallway from our gate, and we had a long layover, so we took advantage of that. When we first got there, it was really crowded. And I know I've already said best turkey sandwich was at May y Tierra, and that's still the best turkey sandwich, but a close second, at least in the top 3, was the United Club turkey sandwiches. I don't know what they're really good. They're really good. And then about halfway through our wait time there, it had cleared out a little bit, and they were able to get better seats, looking out the windows and seeing the planes take off and that type of thing. So that was nice. This was our first flight that was on time, so we took off on time and we landed on time. We didn't get a meal on this flight. We just got a snack bag, stroopwafel, and some pretzels because it's an airplane, and a little bottle of water. And then of course they offered drinks, but I was exhausted. So they did have the in-seat entertainment. I should have mentioned that our first flight also from Cancun to Houston also had the in-flight or in-seat screens, and I do like that. I feel like that's just easier to use than a personal device, so I appreciated that. I was able to watch The Office. I know I fell asleep for at least half an hour on that flight because I missed one whole episode of The Office, but yeah, the flight was really good. We had to wait about 10 or 15 minutes for our bags once we got to Omaha, and then we got them, and then we drove home, and that's just a long drive. And Reese was really excited to see us, and so I was texting him, kind of giving him updates, and I had said, like, go to bed, like I will wake you up when we get home. And he didn't. He was at our home here with my mother-in-law. She was waiting until we got home, and so we got home, and you're always exhausted, but then you get that little burst of energy. So I did get everything unpacked, and Justin hopped on his computer to take care of emails and all of that type of thing that you just really need a computer for and not your phone. And that was it. Oh yeah, no one ever needed our declaration form, to go back to that. No one ever needed it, and no one ever asked us for our negative COVID test. I had uploaded the letter that they gave us at the resort. I had uploaded that to the United app, so I don't know, like, if I hadn't, if they would have asked for it. I kind of don't think so. And at that point, we were 12 hours out from people having to have it anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. But I came home with my green folder, and I still had one of the receipts to give to our Canada Transfers person. I still had the copies of our passports. I still had the declaration form. I still had our COVID test forms, and I still had the printout from the United Airlines person who told me that Justin, his name being Justin's, on our documentation was just fine, and apparently it was, because I held on to that sucker ready for someone to question us, and no one ever did. So that was it. I will have one more video coming out. I'm still working on it. I am doing some research in our group that went, so there was 4 of us, and I'm asking everyone to give me their pros and cons, because I know some of my pros and cons, but I want to get a broader perspective. And by broader, I mean a sample size of 4, which isn't great. But if you want to see that, and you want to see just overall what were the pros and cons of the Valentin Imperial Riviera Maya in June of 2022, make sure to hit subscribe and then the bell. If you just hit subscribe, you're not gonna know when a video comes out. If you hit subscribe and then the bell, you can't hit the bell unless you hit subscribe. Subscribe and then the bell, then it will let you know when that video comes out. I don't know when it's gonna come out exactly. We'll be in Italy when it comes out. So yes, then you can watch that video and get ready for our Italy videos. That's all I have for now. I will see you in the next video.
Forget the day we met, your eyes so blue, me pressing through. I can't forget the day we met, your smile so bright, it made me swoon. Our love is like a summer's day, hot and endless in a magic